Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to round 14 of season 7 of the F124 Haas Driver Career Mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here at my favourite track on the Formula 1 calendar. It's time for the Belgian Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live towards the end of last week from Hungary, I would highly recommend going back and check it out. It's safe to say Oscar Piastri, he's looking pretty confident in the World Championship right now. A 51-point buffer ahead of George Russell there, a 54-point buffer over myself at the top of the table. McLaren and Ferrari just 6 points in it between their two teams as well in the Constructors. But I'm hoping that we're going to have a few races that work quite nicely for us. Belgium, I love. Zandvoort can be a bit hit or miss, I'll be honest. And then Monza, Baku and Singapore as well. I really do enjoy inside this game. We need to get back into winning form. We need to start trying to take points out of our top two in the championship. And we also need Pierre Gasly to try and, do a little bit better. He hasn't finished lower than 11th so far this season, which is quite an impressive record for our teammate. But annoyingly, he often just finds himself in kind of between 5th and 8th, which is a little bit frustrating when you're trying to win the Constructors World Championship as well. Of course, if you're new around here, please do make sure you leave a like and get yourself subscribed to the channel. Of course, we're trying to hit 140,000 subs. I'd love to hit that before F125 releases. And if you want to help us out just a little bit more, you can click the join button down below for just £1 a month. You get early access to all the videos and a couple of other exclusive perks, and that will carry over into F125, so you will get access to all of our F125 career mode videos. Normally, obviously, we go absolutely wild in the first couple of weeks with content as well. You will get early access to all of those, so I think, personally, it's a worthwhile investment at £1 a month. But yeah, let's head then back to Belgium, and hopefully we can try and score a big result.
Welcome to the behemoth that they value so highly. This is Spa. It's high speed. It is really challenging. We have elevation, we have dramatic corners, and we have one driver in a few moments' time who will take pole position.
Well, here we are then, ready for qualifying here in the Ardennes, and the longest lap on the Formula 1 calendar. Definitely, I'd say, with this new version of the circuit, one of the most difficult as well to try and get hooked up. But Oscar Piastri, he will be looking to try and claim another pole position here. This venue is really just about how you use the battery as well. We apparently left it wide open, the overtake mode, down in towards Eau Rouge Rally on this. That was not ideal. Got to make sure we save a little bit for the uphill climb right at the end of the circuit as we make our way up in towards Les Combes. I mean, yeah, this circuit, though, when you get it hooked up, so much fun there. You really are rolling the car between the curbs. I would expect lap times to be in and around 1 minute 40, so 100 seconds is kind of the goal to try and get underneath around this venue there, as you're really trying to tap the curbs in a couple of places. I'm pretty certain Blanchimont as well, Pouon even, is completely flat out. Easy done on the way through there, and then carry the speed off the exit all the way over to 8th gear. 195 miles an hour by the time you're on your brakes in through La Fagna. So I'll just dip a wheel out in the gravel there, that's fine. As long as you get back on the power, as long as you get the car rotated into the next apex, don't have to worry too much there, as we are definitely comfortably quickest through that middle sector. But now it's about carrying the speed up in towards the bus stop chicane. I think we've got a little margin over Oscar Piastri. Of course, we saw George Russell claim pole last weekend by 0.3 of a second on one of the shortest laps on the F1 calendar. A little bit early on the brakes through the bus stop, but nice and easy. Try not to get too much wheel spin. Up towards the line. P1 for the second time in 3 races. This car loves the high-speed circuits. Well, there we go. Russell last weekend took pole by just under 0.3 of a second. Here at the longest track on the calendar, we'll take pole by just over 0.3 of a second ahead of Oscar Piastri there. We were the only two that were able to dip into the 1 minute 39, so very happy with the lap time there. Gasly as well, a decent effort up in P5, so hopefully we can claw some points back in the Constructors as well. But prime position ready for the Grand Prix. Now the big challenge is surviving lap 1.
It's the Belgian Grand Prix, the site of the maiden victory of the Jordan team in 1998. The venue that Michael Schumacher made his debut in Formula 1. There is so much history here amongst the beautiful nature. 19 corners, 4.3 miles or 7 kilometres. There's over 100 metres of elevation change here with long stretches of the lap spent flat out. Look out for the bus stop chicane. The final challenge before the temporary relief at the start-finish straight. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Firestarter lines up on pole position, and Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Russell, Leclerc, Gasly, Norris, Fittipaldi, Hamilton, Behrman, Fernando Alonso, Teo Porcher, Stroll, Ricciardo, Iwasa, Tsunoda, Sargent, Ocon, Perez, Joe, and Frederick Vesti. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Well, everybody wants to go into the summer break with a little bit of momentum behind us, but only one can win here in Belgium. 22 laps. I think it's going to be a fairly simple one-stop strategy this afternoon, but Oscar Piastri will be looking to try and challenge us as best as possible there. The sun is shining throughout the afternoon here, and I must admit, it does really, really feel nice to be back once again here around this circuit. 5 red lights on the grid, though. Oh, lights out, and away we go then. Not my best start in the world as we're trying to stay to the inside of Piastri in towards turn 1. Oh, a little bit of contact between us both as we try to meet at the apex, and Oscar Piastri get the power down on the exit there. I believe they're 3 wide behind as Pierre Gasly trying to move up into the podium spots nice and early on. But are we going to be able to try and get a run back on the Ferrari man? That's Sebastian Vettel style up the Kemmel Straight. Looks like he's got plenty of poke as well, though, in a straight line. Of course, equal power units between these two cars there. To the outside will go of the Australian, but again, he'll just cover me off in through the chicane there. We'll try and again pull alongside, but Oscar Piastri positioning that car beautifully on lap 1 there. Is already the pair of us pulling away a little bit. George Russell seems to have had a terrible start, down to at least kind of P6, P7 in this race, as Norris and Fittipaldi are fighting for the top 5. We need to be back ahead of Lando by the time we head into the summer break, ahead of George even, as we head into the summer break there, so we can just focus on Oscar Piastri in those final 10 races of the season. You know, the 50-point deficit is a lot, but especially if we can keep trading Grand Prix victories and things like that. You know, we've already proven this year Oscar can build up like a good 40-odd point lead, and we can claw it back in. We've also definitely been a lot less lucky when it comes to reliability so far this campaign. 2 mechanical failures to Oscar Piastri's 0 so far this season, as we make our way then up through Blanchimont to finish off lap 1. Not quite again close enough to really try and have a look, as already we've got a 4-car breakaway, as my teammate and Charles Leclerc, they're already with a 1-second buffer ahead of Lando.
When you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
Oh, I just thought I'd see if I could scare Oscar there back into turn 1, but not going to happen that time round. Surely though, now with the DRS, we'll be able to get a run up the Kemmel Straight, as the key is to try and use a bit of battery actually through the bottom of Eau Rouge there. And look at the run we'll immediately get up through Radion, out onto the Kemmel Straight. Oh, Oscar again tries to give me a little bit of a squeeze after dip a wheel on the grass. That time round we'll get to the outside of him. Oh, I didn't know if he was going to try and keep the nose down the inside, but up into the lead then, especially through this middle sector, we can try and create a gap. There we go. We've really tried to use a load of battery that last lap there to see if we can get the gap now up to Oscar Piastri. Might leave us a little bit vulnerable if we can, but there we are, about 1.5 seconds when we go through the detection points. We've kind of caught him out there just a little bit. Hopefully now that will allow Gasly trying to attack him with some pressure. But I'm just looking at the fuel again, a bit like Hungary. We seem to be just using a bit more than I'd want to. So definitely going to have to manage that towards the end of the afternoon. But now, yeah, we can basically just fully focus on pit stop strategy. Well, I think we're going to opt for a slightly early pit stop then in this Grand Prix. Yeah, been trying to just save back up the battery pack to use it on this in and the out lap. But yeah, just struggling actually a little bit with rear tyre temps, which is a little bit awkward. So yeah, going to take off this set of the soft compound tyre. The gap to Oscar Piastri now floating around 2 seconds, but the real question is just kind of going to be whether we get caught up in traffic or anything like that in through kind of the next few laps here. I also don't want to trip over Pierre Gasly. I don't end up kind of wanting to get in his way, because he's still applying pressure to the Australian at the front of the order there. You can see kind of your top 6 now all bunched back up fairly closely. A 13-second gap back to Lewis Hamilton in P8 as well. So, yeah, there certainly has been quite the divide early on in this GP. But Hamilton, Alonso, Stroll are all going to get biased then. So I forgot, obviously, Alex Albon isn't in that Williams anymore, is he? Funny enough, haven't spent much time around the Williams car so far this year. But we are going to re-emerge then onto the circuit, back out still in the top 10. But yeah, now, I think we've just got to try and actually take it easy this lap so I don't get caught up behind Sir Lancelot. Oh, come on, Lance. So slow down through Pouon there. So we're going to have a look to the outside in towards Lafagna. There we go. Round the outside we'll go. And a fresh set of mediums up against a very worn-out set of softs. Yeah, always going to be able to have the grip, have the confidence, especially, you know, it's Lance Stroll. He's in a Williams. You know, I can connect the dots inside this series. I would really love to see what he could do in a Sauber car. Just how far off the rest of the field could he finish in a Grand Prix would be a really interesting question. But are we seeing a few other cars into the pit lane then, annoyingly, here in Belgium? I can't actually see the mini-map because my camera's in the way. Hamilton and Alonso both diving in. Oscar Piastri is also in there, as well as George Russell. So we might have actually got quite a big jump on a couple of these guys. I think Oscar's been held up through the pit window there, so we might gain even more time on him. And hopefully Pierre Gasly will do the same here, still leading a pack of 4 cars up towards the end of the Kemmel Straight. And yeah, look at that, Oscar Piastri now 5 seconds behind us. So he has really lost out in a big way. Come on, Pierre, you've got to now push. This is your lap to overcut. But as we are going to re-emerge then into the lead of the Grand Prix, this is something I haven't done in quite a while inside an F1 game. Let's take you for a try and attack lap here of the Spa Francorchamps circuit. 6th gear as you cross the start-finish line, get the car over and brake at the 100-meter board in towards turn 1 there. Get as close to the wall as you can through the entry of La Source there. Use up that exit curb on the outside line there, up all the way into 8th gear as you make your way in towards one of Formula 1's most famous corners. Easy flat. Use the battery through the bottom of the hill there to give yourself the boost on the exit. Keep the battery wide open as you make your way up the Kemmel Straight then. Of course, normally this is a great spot for overtaking around this venue. Braking about 60 metres out, 5th gear. Flick the car through the right and then the left and then the right again. All of those in 5th. At the moment, brake just after the outside curbing there down through Malmedy. And then this corner as well. Horrible on the exit, horrible on the entry. You've got to really just either avoid or completely attack over those curbs. Splash a battery on the exit, 8th gear as you make your way down in towards Pouon there. Completely flat on the entry. And then again, use a little bit of battery on the exit down in towards the Fania. 5th gear once again. Carry the speed through the right, through the left. Get right up to the gravel on the outside line there. 4th gear as you make your way through Stavolo. And again, trying to get the power down smoothly on the exit is absolutely critical. Again, use the battery. It's a very steep uphill climb. You never quite realise it when you're watching it on TV. But when you go and see this circuit in person, it is very, you know, it's a long old climb up in towards the bus stop chicane, looking for the 100-meter board on the outside. Nice straight line braking. Attack the curbs through the first part, attack the curbs through the second. Get over that curb and on the outside, power down towards the line. 41.8. That was only a couple of tenths off what Zhou Guan Yu did in qualifying, and well, now just got to start managing the fuel a little bit more. 10 laps to go of this race. We've got an 8-second lead over Pierre Gasly. Over Oscar Piastri. Things are looking pretty good right now. But one more lap to go then in a race that we have pretty much dominated right from the get-go here. Able to get past Oscar Piastri after a bit of a fight on lap 1. And then, yeah, really since then we have not looked back. I mean, we got a little bit lucky with the fact he got a bit held up through the pit cycle, but that's just given us the buffer we needed to really control this one. Pierre Gasly, though, he's still pretty close behind him. But yes, I'm not convinced he's going to be close enough to go for a run unless he saved a load of battery ready for this final lap against the Australian. It would be so useful in the Constructors' Championship. And it would obviously help me out in the Drivers' Championship to get that gap back under 50 points here is critical, but to take 11 points out of him this weekend will be really, really useful as well. Here comes Pierre Gasly, but I just don't think he's quite going to get there on this last lap. He's gaining on Oscar, but it won't be enough, and that's probably the last overtaking opportunity he'll find around this venue. Enzo Fittipaldi, though, the hard compounded tyre, had he had just a couple more laps, that strategy could have really worked out well for him. And I think earlier on in the race, he did get held up behind Charles Leclerc when the Mercedes man developed some mechanical issues on that car as well. So yeah, Enzo Fittipaldi really could have been in that fight towards the end of this one. Like I said, I think Oscar Piastri accepted early on the win. The opportunity to win this one was probably gone. So he is just focused on trying to maximise his and Ferrari's result. They'll still pull out a few points ahead of McLaren, but they're going to lose a few points here to Haas. And before we head into the summer break, we've won at this venue a few times on F1 24. It has certainly been a good track for us on this year's game. Draining the battery around in towards the bus stop one final time. The sun is shining today on the Haas Formula 1 car through the final corner. I believe that's win number 4 of the year. Exactly what we need.
Yes, 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 guys, yes! Come on, boys! Oh, superb driving. That is the race win, my friend. Well done.
A difficult race then on one of the all-time classic circuits, but they've persevered to take the win here today.
They led from lights out to the flag at the end, and their race victory was never in doubt, was it? Brilliant stuff by them.
The quality and fantastic result of the Haas team will have been noticed by everyone out there today. You can see why everyone's taking them so seriously. These drivers will be hot property by the end of the season.
Well, there we go. P1 here in the Ardennes. Pole position, fastest lap, race victory. Exactly what we need as we head into the summer break there. 8 points taken out of Oscar Piastri and Pierre Gasly as well, helping out the team in the constructors' fight there. Enzo Fittipaldi in 4th ahead of both McLarens, both Mercedes, Alonso and Logan Sargent, driver of the day, from 16th on the grid to pick up the final points-paying position in his Red Bull car there. Just Ollie Behrman that failed to see the checkered flag, and not too sure what happened to Teo Pourchaire to end up so far behind one of the Sauber cars. He did still beat Zhou Guanyu though, so silver linings and all of that. Championship-wise, it means the gap at the top has been cut to just 46 points then between myself and Oscar. You can see George Russell there, 61 back now, so I think it might be a 2-horse race as we head into the second half of the year. McLaren, on the weekends they're good, they're so good, but on the weekends they're not. They're so mediocre inside this game still at the moment there. Don't think there's been any other movement. Enzo Fittipaldi re-jumps Fernando Alonso in the Drivers' World Championship there, and I think Sargent as well, now back ahead of Teo Pourchaire in the Drivers' Championship as well. Still just strolling those Saubers yet to score as we make it to the summer break. Constructors-wise, Ferrari is 6 points clear of McLaren. Haas, though, we have slashed that gap down just to 18, though, so we've definitely got a three-way Constructors battle into the second half of the year. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon ready for the Dutch Grand Prix.